Hello, I hope you're all keeping well. Today, my name's Logan Kelly and I have a podcast about music, books and a whole lot more. And my podcast is called Logan Sounds Off, and today I'm going to be doing an interview with the incredible members of the Riptide Movement. Unfortunately, some of them aren't here, but for those who don't know the Riptide Movement, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Malachy and this is Gerry, and we're both in the Riptide Movement. We're a rock and roll band. I suppose we kind of cross genres. So we play a lot of folk, blues, rock, indie rock, and country as well. So it's a mixture of that throughout our music. We're 19 years together as a band, going into 20 years next year. We've released 5 albums and a couple of EPs, and yeah, we've had an amazing 19 years. We've which I'm sure we'll talk about throughout the interview. But that's kind of a whirlwind. We've played Glastonbury a few times. We just got back there last weekend, and yeah, we've had a great journey.
It's really, really cool, and I'm super excited to get into that along with Glastonbury. But just going back to your early roots, because for me, as someone who's really into music, I loved reading about, I know you're a drummer, played along to Motown and AC/DC, so a diverse mix there, and your folks were musical. So growing up, what kind of artists made an impact on you to start making music?
For me personally, growing up at home, my mother would have listened to a lot of Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen, so there's a lot of that kind of music in the house. And then I've got 2 older brothers and I've a younger sister as well, so I would have been influenced by my brother's music. So like my older brother Ollie is a big Cure fan, and then my brother John Paul would have been big into like Pink Floyd and The Doors, bands like that, and then myself, I suppose the awakening for me in music was Oasis, when I went to see a gig of theirs in 1997. I was like, I think I was 13 or 14 years of age, and back then we queued up for the tickets all night outside HMV, and we queued up all night for the tickets, went to the gig then in December, and the gig had such an effect on me that I set up my first band the next day called The Relic with my friends that came to that gig with me.
That's really, really cool. So you must have been really excited to see them coming back then recently for the gig.
Yeah. So they're playing on, I think it's the 17th of August. So I'm going with my brother on the Saturday, and then we're racing down to play with the Waterboys then on Sunday in Limerick. So it's looking forward to that weekend. Should be a good weekend.
Busy weekend.
Yeah.
And then what about you, Gerry, with your roots kind of growing up?
Yeah, well, Mal and I and Jay and Gar are all kind of school friends, so we all live pretty much in close proximity to each other. And Mal was in another band called The Relic, and then we went into another band called, the first band I was in was called Crimson Lizard, and then Mal came back from Australia and Crimson Lizard disbanded, and Mal and Jay asked me, would you like to be in the Riptide Movement as the bass player? And I said, I'd absolutely love it. And we all had similar tastes in music. Bob Dylan, I was a big Led Zeppelin fan, Bob Dylan fan, Neil Young fan. So we all had like-minded musical tastes, and we couldn't find a drummer for a while. So Jay was on the night link home one day, the lead guitarist. He's not here, unfortunately. He couldn't make it. He'd be here later on for the gig, but he got held up in traffic, so apologies for that. But Jay was on the way home from a night out on the night link, and he saw this guy with his headphones on at the back of the bus doing all this kind of rhythm with his hands on his laps. And he said, you know, he looks like a drummer. And he went down to the back of the bus. He goes, you don't play drums by any chance? And Gar took his headphones out and he goes, oh, I do, yeah. He goes, would you like to be in a band? He goes, yeah. He goes, are you doing that tomorrow? And he's like, no. And we were like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow in the band room just opposite the boys' school in Lucan. And Jay contacted myself and Mal that night and goes, look, lads, I think I have a drummer. So we came down and we met Gar, and we just started playing our own original music, and we just said, look, Gar, do what you feel. And we played about 5 or 6 songs, and we were so excited to play the next song because he was so good at just everything he did. We were kind of blown away, and we were like, weren't saying anything for about, must have jammed for about an hour. And then we were all, Mal and I and Jay were absolutely delighted, and Gar was still kind of looking at us, and he's like, so am I in? And we were like, oh, you're in. You are in, my friend. And that was the formation of the Riptide Movement.
The only word that comes to my mind is casual. Like, that is like the best start to a band ever. Just kind of starting off so easily and then meeting somebody on a bus.
Yeah, well, awareness. We try and keep our eyes open all the time and see opportunity. So, like yourself, you're great, Logan. I have to say, Mal was telling me all about you on the way down in the van today, and it's a credit to you. You're an inspiration to other 12-year-olds and even older. And we're delighted to be a part of this interview. So thanks for having us as well.
Oh,
yeah, definitely.
Thanks so much
Logan,
for joining me here. I really do appreciate it. It's great to chat to you guys. And I'd like to kind of continue off that point, because you mentioned where actually my next question was growing up in Lucan, starting to play in school. So I'd like to ask about kind of those first steps, because I read that you guys originally started busking before you recorded What About the Tip Jars. So what was that dynamic like, from busking, playing outdoors, playing live, to now continuing to this new step of 10 years after that Oasis gig, recording the first studio album?
Yeah, I think, because we started in 2006, and the busking kind of came about out of a necessity, really. So we had released our first album, What About the Tip Jars, and a really great friend of ours, Tony Colton, produced this, and there's really cool story behind that as well, because we had started the band in 2006, and we went to go to the States to play some gigs out there, but there was a bit of confusion with visas and we didn't get in. So we ended up going to London, and we kind of spent a couple of months in London kind of playing every gig we could along the tube lines, and we were kind of known as the cancellation band. But when we were coming back from London, we were in Heathrow Airport, and there was a strike happening, and we were in the queue, myself and JP, the guitarist, and Jay is a massive Rory Gallagher fan, and he had a Rory Gallagher t-shirt on him, and the guy in front of us turned around and he says, I like your t-shirt, man, and Jay goes, yeah, it's Rory Gallagher, he's a hero of mine, an amazing guitarist. And he goes, oh, I know who Rory is. He said, I produced his first 2 albums with Taste. So we were like,
wow,
mind blown. And it turned out it was Tony Colton. And so we swapped details. We told him we wanted to make an album. And we sent him a demo. And then he came over to Ireland then the following year to produce our first album, What About the Tip Jars. So getting back to your question with busking, we released What About the Tip Jars. And we had ordered a lot of CDs. I think we ordered like something like 5,000 or 10,000 CDs, like, because we thought as soon as we get a bit of radio play that everybody was going to absolutely love the band and there'd be queues outside HMV, and unfortunately that didn't happen. So we had all these CDs, and we needed to kind of get them out there. They weren't selling really in the shops, so that's when we went out busking on Grafton Street. So we moved a lot of our CDs on Grafton Street. So busking kind of became a necessity for us, really.
That's really, really interesting. And I will say, regarding that first album, I couldn't listen to it, but I'm really excited kind of where you said, regarding America, where you were going to go over to
I have one of those albums for you, okay?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Where you're saying about you were going to America, you did actually, just as a fun fact for anybody who's a fan of the Riptide movement, you did come back to America for Ghosts, but we're going to get into that for in Texas, and I just thought that was really interesting reading about that. But before we get into Ghosts, I'd love to discuss the album that prefaced that, Getting Through, which went #1 and was nominated for an RT Choice Music Prize, which is just incredible. So from busking on Grafton Street, kind of building up this discography of studio albums, how did you find going from this to now having this whole new experience as a band? How did you react as a group to this, a lot of attention on the band because of this new record?
Yeah, well, like, Getting Through was definitely a breakthrough album for us because we got signed. We actually went over to America to shop it, and we did a gig in New York and in the Cutting Room, and we did a gig in the Viper Rooms in LA, and we had a lot of record labels at those shows, and they were both sold out. It was great, so we had to try and promote the gigs from Dublin, which was kind of strange, but we latched on to, as the Irish do, we all look out for each other. So I reached out to a lot of GAA clubs and any kind of Irishness that could, help community that could help, make the gig an experience for us. And yourself, you don't want to be playing to an empty room. So we sold out both shows, and they were brilliant. We were like, look, we knew we had a good album on our hands, so we were full sure there's definitely somebody there that's going to like this. But lo and behold, we came back from America a week and still no word from anyone. And we had given it to Universal Ireland before we'd left, and they said, no, it's not for us. And then when we came back, we were a week kind of thinking and like, what are we going to do, lads? There's no one biting on this at all. And then Mal gets a phone call from Universal Ireland saying, actually, we really like this album. Can you come in?
Pretty touch and go there.
Yeah, so we were like, wow. So Mal rang us and said, lads, we have to go into Universal Ireland. I think they like the album. So we struck a deal with them and they signed us. And then it went to number one and we were ecstatic. It was one of our lifelong dreams to have a number one album. And we're very grateful for all the fans and everyone out there in Ireland who bought the album and around the world. And that just kind of gave us just that kind of spark to kind of really kick on and go on and do Ghosts and all the rest of the albums we've done. And I think it's just been, for us, it's just been life. It's kind of like it's a learning curve. We're very much in touch with what we like, and we don't try and make an album for the sake of the people liking it. Obviously it's important, but it's important to us to write what we believe in, and we're very much a band. When we get together, I don't know, I feel there's a magic there that just happens when we get together. So and we still have that. It's something that, I don't know, it's weird. It's like it's a family thing. We have this thing that we love each other dearly, and we're very grateful to be still being asked to play Kaleidoscope and Glastonbury, because we've done a lot by ourselves, an awful lot by ourselves, and it was great to experience a label side supporting you as well, and we have a good rapport with all the people we've worked with down through the years, and we just feel at the moment when we go into the studio now, the last album we recorded was with a guy called Gavin Glass down in Wexford, and he's an amazing producer. He's also an amazing musician, and we went down and did the old Stomping Ground last November, and When the Sun Comes Up is the latest single. And there's a whole new when COVID happened, it knocked the whole industry for six. So we're kind of going back into the band thing now, and we feel like we're kicking off again, and we're just really excited to be still doing it, and to be getting up on the stage and making people feel like, they can forget their troubles and forget whatever it is that's going on in their life, and they just, for that moment that we're on stage, everyone just has a great time, and that's a powerful thing to have, and we cherish that,
Yeah, I definitely see what you mean. And for me, who's a fan of your music, it's great to hear that you're coming back with the new music. And I was saying before the interview, I was listening to the old Stomping Ground and When the Sun Comes Up over on the car today. But I was looking out at the scenery, and we were just, before we literally entered in here, the old Stomping Ground was playing, and because of that kind of Irish trad vibe, I was like going, wow, this is amazing, kind of being surrounded by this beautiful scenery to interview this band. So I think that's a really powerful song. And for anybody who's watching this at home, when this is released on YouTube, please do check out all the links to Riptide Movements music, as well as this new single down below. It's a magnificent song, guys, and we're going to get into that.
Thanks, Logan.
after, I'd love to discuss with you guys Ghosts, because as I mentioned, I was really excited when I read this was recorded in Texas before I had listened to it, and I was going, I'm really excited to get this new sense while listening to it, especially where I was recording in quite an isolated location. So for anybody who doesn't know about the recording process behind that record, could you tell us about what was it like working in Texas in this new area?
Yeah, it was incredible. I think we've always kind of recorded in isolated areas, because the Getting Through album, we recorded that in Grouse Lodge, and even the writing of each album, we tend to like to kind of isolate ourselves in terms of like we'd rent out a house on Airbnb and for maybe a week, and then we'd bring all our equipment in and we'd bring all our ideas to the fore and then kind of get a better form in the ideas and the songs, and then go to the studio. So for the Ghosts album, we had an awful lot of ideas going to Texas. We'd about 30, 40 ideas, and the album could have went a few different directions. But the recording process was amazing, because we're on this 30,000 acre pecan farm, and it's got all these studios kind of, I think they've got 5 or 6 different studios on the ranch, and they're all spread out around the compound of the pecan farm. And it was just incredible. Ted Hutt produced the album, and as I say, we went with all these ideas, and we ended up with 12 tracks that we're really, really happy about. And it was a great experience, Gerry, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, like, it was a mad journey to get there as well. Like, I remember when we arrived, it's, I don't know if anyone's ever been to El Paso, but it's like, at night time, there's coyotes and everything howling around you, and you're kind of looking up at the we went in January, wasn't it January? Yeah, so it was not too cold, but at night time it was like, I mean, it was like the stars, you could see like the sky. It was like an astronomer's dream. You could just see, and it was so, the people around us as well, they were all excited to have this Irish band over, because I don't know, the Irish have made a name for themselves all around the world, and once you say you're from Ireland, they're like, oh my God, I love the Irish. And you're like, oh, thanks a million. But to be in that, it was a little bit out of our comfort zone, and that album was a difficult album, and some of the songs on that album, we really had to dig deep, and Mal, and credit to Mal as well, the lyrics, everything, he really, really worked hard on that album, and we gave it everything, and Ted as well, and Ryan, who was his engineer, and it's one of Gar's, the drummer's, favourite albums. He absolutely loves it, and I think just kind of being in that place at that time for us, it was a bit out of our comfort zone, and sometimes you have to push out of your comfort zone, and you just have to go with it. And we went with it, and we're really happy with the album. And like Elephant in the Room, again, we're looking forward. We have an elephant that's going to be on the stage with us today for the gig. So if anyone's around, please call up at 5:30. We're on the main stage. And
just on Gerry's point with the Elephant in the Room, we've teamed up with the Elephant in the Room project. I don't know if any of you have heard about it, but it's this initiative to get people talking about mental health and conversation going around mental health. And the idea is these artists paint and design these elephant sculptures. So we're going to bring one of the elephant sculptures onto the stage with us today. And the idea is that of the elephant in the room, it's that thing where everybody feels but they're afraid to talk about it, or they can't talk about it. So to bring an elephant into like a public space or a school or a workspace, it's just a reminder that you can talk. It's an incentive to open up. So we're delighted to be part of this initiative, and we'll have one of the elephants on the stage today.
That's really, really cool. And anybody who is here for the gig, make sure to check it out. Make sure to see the elephant. And that's an incredible initiative. And I really thank you for mentioning that. I think it's really, really important to mention those things. And I just want to kind of say, as kind of just a comment on the album for me personally while listening to it, with this, with the thought that this was recorded in an area filled with empty acres, the Ghosts title was a lot more reflective on the kind of recording process. So I thought that was really, really interesting, kind of that isolated area.
Yeah, and I think you can hear it in the songs and throughout the album. And one in particular, which is one of my favourites on the album, is Changeling. And that was a song that came right at the end. Because you find with albums, you've got a timeline to finish them. And the closer you get, it's like a runaway train, it feels like. It feels like the train is heading for a gorge, and you have to have all your songs finished in that timeline. And Changeling was one of them songs that came about because it's basically based on the story of Bridget Cleary, which was the last witch trial in Ireland back in, I think it was 1895. And I was fascinated with the story, and so we put that story into the song Changeling, and it was kind of built around that kind of it's like a kind of crazy riff, erratic riff, and we're able to kind of put the story of Bridget Cleary into Changeling.
That's awesome, and I love that kind of folklore influence on the music. And one thing that I was thinking about, kind of, for me as someone who's watching you guys play, I think it's very interesting that you went from recording in this isolated, quite remote, as you're saying, very kind of wild with coyotes in a beautiful sky place in Texas, to coming then back to Ireland to be playing on the main stage of Electric Picnic and coming back home. Is that nearly, for as musicians, not just with Ghosts, but going from a very isolated place to this new setting where it's filled with people and you're playing live back at home, do you guys find that as an interesting experience to kind of blend where you were recording as well as the home where you grew up and the home where you're performing?
Yeah, I mean, like this, that's what it's all about, really. Being in a band, it's nice to get up on the stage, and like I love playing bass guitar and the songs that we've written and seeing the lads, and when it all goes well for us up on the stage, that's all you want. You just want you don't want any technical difficulties and all that. So once you get out of that, that's the whole point, is to get up and play songs and just to hear people loving our music as much as we love it. And you kind of forget your own. You go into this kind of realm of uplifting. It's I find our band is very uplifting, and the music is, I don't know what it is. It's just all our personalities are kind of on show, and it's just the best buzz in the world. Getting up on the stage, and when everything goes well for you and the gig ends, you're like that feeling stays with you for a long time. Like you can go back to a gig. I can go back to so many gigs and remember good and bad. But that's you're not going to have, every gig isn't going to go your way. So it's kind of like an interview sometimes. Sometimes you'll have a good interview, sometimes you'll have a bad interview. But that's life, you just have to get on with it and you learn from it. So we've learned a lot from being away, and doing it in the studio is a different entity altogether from being on stage as a live band. They're two different things.
I think they're linked though, like as you were speaking, like it's kind of like a flow state. So when you're on stage and you're really in the gig, it's like this, as Gerry said, like a realm, or it's like a flow. It's like you're in another dimension nearly. And the same feeling happens when you're writing and recording a great song in the studio, and it all comes together. I love both. I love the studio and I love the live stage. As Gerry was saying, they're two completely different animals, but they're linked with that kind of flow. If that makes sense. It's if you're in a great gig and you've got that synergy between the audience and the band are all on it, and it's you don't have to. There's no thinking involved. You're just there. You're in the moment. And the same in the studio when you really hit a great song and it's all coming together. You're in the moment. You're there.
Yeah, I really understand that, and I think with albums like Ghosts, there's so much depth to them. It's great to see them in the flesh live, and so I'd love to speak about some more recent projects that you've done with, as we mentioned earlier, the old Stomping Ground, but more recently, When the Sun Comes Up, and we were kind of mentioning coming back to gigging, getting back into the studio, releasing these singles, seeing the reaction, getting to come to amazing festivals like Kaleidoscope. How does it feel for you guys coming back from this stage of where the music industry was in a quite dire spot during the COVID-19 pandemic to now coming back to that state of playing live and being creative again?
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, it's amazing to be back releasing new music, and it's just it's nearly more enjoyable because we've always kind of been a do-it-yourself type band. So we had albums out before the label, and since we parted with the label, it's nice to put out new music now independently again. And that was just a joyous, real joyous occasion, going down to Gavin's and recording them songs, the old stomping ground, and When the Sun Comes Up. And I'm sure you've seen yourself, there's like a massive difference sonically between the two songs.
Yeah.
And we kind of wanted to do that because, you know, sometimes with an album you kind of want everything to feel like one body of work. So this was nice just to go down and because we write so many different types of songs, and we don't like being put in a pigeonhole or a certain genre. So like the Old Stomping Ground is a very traditional type song, and it's like the Riptide Movement doing our version of Irish traditional music, but with our rock and roll flavour to it. And you know, because we're all big fans of Irish traditional music as well. JP, our guitarist, is in a trad band himself. And then The Sun Comes Up. It's kind of, I suppose it's quite similar to the work we did with Chris Cody with Plastic Oceans and What Will the Kids Say. Sonically, it's kind of back there, and but I love the feeling of that song because the essence of that song is time running out. And during the recording process, we actually tried to infuse that in the song, in the recording, because the original demo, I'd done a demo for the song, and it was a very fast BPM, 164 BPMs, which is very fast. And so we slowed it down in the studio, and we found that it was a totally different song and wasn't really working. So then what we did is we sped it back up again, but what we did is we started at 156 BPMs, and then as the song starts playing out, we ramped up the BPM. So it starts at one speed and ends at another. And it's just to give it that feeling of the message in the song.
Yeah, I think that's really, really cool. And for me, kind of listening back to that track now, I'll always remember that. And even with artistic touches like that, it really adds a lot more depth. And then, so we've spoke about the recent studio element of having music out there, but you're going to be playing here at Kaleidoscope pretty soon. So there's a lot of music fans here who are probably going to be seeing the Riptide Movement live, or if there's anybody here who's going to be watching this video who might be seeing Riptide Movement in the future, what's going to be coming up in today's gig or future gigs that you'd like to tell the audience about?
Yeah, we have a great set list for today. It's the Old Stomping Ground is on it, and When the Sun Comes Up is on it. But it's it's really kind of uplifting. I think that's our music. It's very it's festival. It's for festivals. If you want to have a dance, get up and dance. The lyrics as well and the Old Stomping Ground are very intriguing, and it's kind of like a story. And I mean,
playing some of the classics as well from back 19 years ago, like Hot Tramp.
Yeah,
and,
like it is. I think there's a song from every album, but it's like I think this set list that we've made out, it packs a punch. So when we get up on stage first, it's going to be kind of that old school kind of bluesy rock, kind of The Doors, and then we go through the genres of a little bit of trad rock. Changeling is a little bit more, again, another great story. Lyrically, I think Mal doesn't get enough credit for his lyrics, but if you kind of hone in on them, they're fantastic, and he's a fantastic writer, and we're blessed to have him as he's a fantastic songwriter, and we all chip in our own bits and bobs to the band, but the main body of work usually comes from Mal. He'll sit down and he'll tell us. So, yeah, you're going to get a very upbeat show today. I think today's a day to let's have a party, let's all have fun. We're all in work, we're all out of work now, so let's all enjoy our day. And that's what we're down here to do. We're going to have a great time. So hopefully you all have a great time with us.
So make sure to go down to the Riptide Movement gig, guys, and have a bit of fun there. And then another gig that I'd love to ask you guys before I get to my final question is regarding the Glastonbury concert. You've played there before. How did it feel returning back to Glastonbury this year?
Still on a high after it. Been such a great weekend. We ended up playing 3 gigs over the weekend. So our main gig was on the Sunday on the acoustic stage, which was amazing. But we made some friends there the last time we played with the crew that actually work behind the acoustic stage. So we played a gig for them, and then on the Sunday after our gig, we were chatting to Liam O'Malon, and he was telling us about this secret piano bar up past the Sacred Fields and past Avalon in Glastonbury. So it sounded amazing. It's basically this underground amphitheatre that is dug out every year, and it holds around 200 or 300 people. And we happened just to stumble upon it later on in the night, and we done a bit of blagging. Gerry was using the artist passes, got us right up to the top of the
You got to do a bit of Irish blagging. Oh yeah. We're here for the gig. Yeah.
So there was like 300 or so in the queue, and we made our way up, and then we got to this gate, and the owner guy was at the gate, and he was like, who are you? And we were saying, we were playing the acoustic stage, and we were told this is a fantastic venue, we'd love to come up and play a few songs. And he was like, no, you have to be booked in for months in advance, And we were like, such and such told us to come up, and he was there, all right, but sure, I don't even know if he can sing. And I says, well, I'll sing you a song now. So I sang the old Stomping Ground, and all the queue joined in, and next thing the barrier was up, and we went through this kind of tunnel, like something out of kind of one of them North Korean tunnels, and then we come out, and then there's all musicians there with guitars and fiddles and the whole lot, and they basically go, here, will you come and play a few songs here? And so we went out, and then you go out into this amphitheatre, and it's like a wooden stage like this, and you kind of use the wooden stage as your beat, and then everybody's like right down. It's like something out of Game of Thrones, and everyone's huddled in together, and there's about 300 people in it. Absolutely amazing. Wow. And probably the highlight of the festival, I think, for us, because it was so unexpected and such a great gig as well. And everything, of course, at that gig it's all acoustic. It's not electric instruments. So it's just the bass, the guitar, and a girl called Jane on the fiddle. So that was just part of it. Then we went to see Neil Young, which is one of our heroes.
Wow.
One of the best gigs I've ever seen. We seen Kneecap. We seen John Fogerty, CCR, one of our heroes as well. The Hot House Flowers. It's just amazing, joyous experience.
Yeah, it was definitely we were lucky enough to play Glastonbury in 2013 and 2014, and it's 11 years since we last played Glastonbury. So we were it's 11 years on. You're kind of a different person. 11 years on. Well, I am. Well, the same. But going into Glastonbury, we were so happy to be asked back to play it again, because we couldn't believe it when Mal reached out to a guy who used to be our agent for a couple of years, Paul Charles. He's with the Asgard agency, and Mal reached out to him with the old stomping grounds, and he said, Paul, would you keep us in mind for a slot at Glastonbury this year if you can? And Paul just happened to say, well, talk about being in the right place at the right time. He said, I actually have a slot for you. Would you be able to do the Sunday? And we were like, oh my God, I can't. Wow. Mal told us then, lads, guess what? We're after getting Glastonbury. And Jay and I were just, what? How did you get that? He goes, I just asked Paul, and Paul. So we were very grateful to Paul, and it's a credit to the band as well, because we do like to keep a good rapport with everyone that we've worked with. Even if we do part ways, you still end up meeting them along the line anyway. So it's always nice to, even if you are going through tough times with people, still stick together and work together, and it goes a long way. It really does. So when we got back to Glastonbury this year, oh man, we left it all on the pitch. I mean, I don't think we slept. We just kept going. We kept going, wanted to see as many bands as we could possibly see. And we wanted to do as many gigs as we could possibly do. And we're still recovering from that, hence the sunglasses.
Wow, I can only imagine. Well, it sounded like an amazing time, and especially for me, who's watching on BBC all these different shows, seeing some of my favorite artists, and I'm a big music fan, so to see this kind of depth is really, really cool. But to hear personality from artists who are there, personality of the festival is really, really incredible. But before we finish up the interview here, and everybody make sure to get out your notebooks, because I have a question for you that I love to ask artists that I invite here. For everyone here in the audience and everyone here at home, and also for me, do you have any musical recommendations? Are there any records that you've been hearing, or musicians or tracks or anything?
I suppose at the moment I'm listening to a bit of Wonder Horse. I think they're great.
Their new album's amazing.
Yeah, it's I love that Teal song. It's incredible. And listening to a bit of Nick Drake, 5 Leaves Left at the moment. Love that album. Who else am I listening to? Fontaines DC, of course. They're just they're incredible. They just keep getting better and better. And listening to a bit of Sive, a great Irish musician. Listen to loads of different stuff.
My favourite artist of Glastonbury was Oisin Leach. I don't know if you've all heard of Oisin Leach.
Oh yes, Oisin Leach.
So Oisin, he was the Lost Brothers. He came from the Lost Brothers.
That's right,
so I know Oisin ages, but I forgot I knew him ages, because going through the band stuff, we mightn't see each other for a while, and he played this set on a Saturday morning, and it was quite early. I think it was about 2 in the afternoon. And his music is so relaxing and so different as well. He's got such a, I don't know what it is about his music. It's very inviting and just chill out. And he's definitely an artist you should check out. His new stuff at the moment is fantastic. So I'd highly recommend Oisin Leach. He's one of our own as well. So the Irish are taking over at the moment. I think Ireland has never been. The artists and bands up and down this country are a credit to all of us, because they've blown us away. I mean, I don't know how many Irish artists were at Glastonbury over the weekend, but when we went to see Kneecap, I can honestly say I've never seen so many Irish flags in my life. And I looked around and I said, I was so proud to be Irish. And I think everyone who met us that weekend couldn't say they could not say the amount of nice words that came out. Once you said you were from Ireland, they just automatically came in and went, thank you for doing what you're doing and using the platform to raise awareness for everything that they believe in. And we're very proud, very, very proud.
Yeah, I saw Fine Art on YouTube, that performance, and I just thought, I was kind of watching it going, it's actually surreal, the amount of people who are just really getting into it. And we were discussing even that communal part of music, that's what it's all about. So thank you for those recommendations, guys. And if anybody's listening, make sure to check it out, because I believe actually 5 Leaves Left by Nick Drake.
Yeah.
It's getting a reissue though soon, actually.
Okay.
I think they're releasing like some behind the scenes stuff as well, which I think is really, really interesting. As someone who unfortunately was gone too soon, we get new kind of information, backstories for us as listeners and fans. So before we finish up, I kind of have to do a quick plug. So as I said at the start, I'm Logan Kelly. I have a podcast called Logan Sounds Off. This is my 78th interview to date, and I love doing interviews. I love to review records. I've interviewed people like Josh Homme from Queen's Stone Age, Henry Rollins from Black Flag, E from Eels, Ian Mackay from Fugazi, Ron Sexsmith, and many, many more artists. So if you want to check out any of those interviews, as well as many Irish artists like Pebble Dash and Lankum, make sure to check out the podcast at www.logansoundsoff.com. I'm on Spotify, YouTube, but make sure to check me out on the website, because the social media is there too. And also check out all of the Riptide Movements music, which if you're here live with us, I can't really give you any links or anything, but if you're at home and you're watching, please do check it out. And also links to my social media and stuff will be down below in the description if you're watching at home. So before we finish up, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me here.
Thanks, Logan.
It's been great to chat to you. You've been incredible guests.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Logan. And a big round of applause for Logan. I can't believe this guy. We are not worthy.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
I really do appreciate you coming here, guys, and make sure to see them live later today. So
5:30 on the main stage.
brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Come on. It's great. Yeah, likewise.